Hi guys, okay, we have our May 2019 paper 1H. So this is the regional paper. Question 1. We have a cylinder. It says the cylinder has radius 8.2 centimeters, height 10 centimeters. It is empty. Pam pours 1.5 liters of water into the cylinder. Work out the depth of the cylinder. Answer to one decimal place. Okay, so she's going to pour in water. Now let's just draw approximately what's going to happen. So she's going to pour in the water like this, and now this will be filled with water. What we need to find is this h, or the depth. Let's call it height. So this is the height. So it's basically we're trying to find a new, or the height of a new cylinder. So I believe, guys, in this question, I don't actually need this 10 at all. So they've given us an, often I say, you should use all the information that you're given, but I don't think I actually need to use this 10 centimeters because I'm going to say the volume of a cylinder is pi r squared h. That, guys, is right here. Volume pi r squared h. The volume, we know it's 1.5 liters. Now guys, 1.5 liters is 1,500, no sorry, it's not, yeah, it is. It's 1,500 centimeters cubed. 1.5 liters equals 1,500 centimeters cubed. So I changed it to centimeters because the lengths are in centimeters, so that makes sense. So 1,500 equals pi times r squared, which is 8.2 squared, times h. So h is just going to be 1,500 divided by 8.2 squared times pi. So I'm dividing by both of these. I'm dividing by all of that to give me h on its own. This, guys, I'll just do with a calculator. So it's 1,500 divided by 8.2 squared times pi, and the pi button is here, guys. Use the pi button, and I get 7.1009. h equals 7.1009. He says one decimal place, so 7.1. 7.1. So note, guys, this is like a rearranging to find h question, but interestingly, this 10 centimeters is actually not useful. I'm not going to use it, and no doubt it would have thrown off a lot of students. So actually not an easy question 1 start to the paper. Okay, interior angle of a regular polygon is 162. Work out how many sides the polygon has, right? So guys, this is a polygon like this. It's a regular polygon. We don't know how many sides it has. It goes on and on like that. But the point of what I'm doing here is, so this is 162 here, 162 degrees. What's more interesting is, what is this angle here? Because this is the exterior angle. So if that's 162, then this angle has to be 18 degrees. So if that angle is 18 degrees, the way we find out how many sides it has is we say 360 divided by 18. Because think about it, how many of these exterior angles are there going to be in the pentagon, or sorry, in the polygon? Well, there's going to be enough of them so that when I add them all up, I get 360 because it just goes around in a circle. For example, if you have if you had a hexagon like this, imagine that was a regular hexagon, you will have this, 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 and this. Hence the exterior angles, that plus that plus that plus that plus that plus that, all add up to 360 because it's a full circle. So I just need to do 360 divided by 18, which I think I do know the answer, guys, but let's do it on the calculator anyway. 360 divided by 18 is 20. That is what I expected. So it's 20. Hence, how many sides does it have? 20. That's it. Question 3. Sets. So this, I think, guys, is a pretty straightforward question. A is even numbers, B is multiples of 3. A intersection B, so that means it has to be both even and multiples of 3. So we have 12 is even and a multiple of 3. We have 18, and that's it. So literally just go through the even numbers, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, and think, are they multiples of 3? Well, only 12 and 18 are. Then a union B, so these are anything that is even or a multiple of 3. So I'm just going to I'm going to put down all the even numbers, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. Those are the even numbers. And now I'm going to, let's write all that out or underline them. And now I'm going to also add in the multiples of 3. So this is a multiple of 3. And the other ones are 12 and 18, which I've already included, so I'm not going to put them down twice. So I just need to add in 15, and that's it. You don't have to put these in order. You can if you want. And then complement of A, that means complement, which means not in A. So write down all the numbers that are not in A. So basically, I just need to write down the odd numbers. The odd numbers are, let me just do this, this, and this. So I have 11, 13, 15, 17, and 19. Those are the numbers that are in the universal set, but not in A. Okay, next question. Solve this, right? So guys, I think I'm going to get my x's on the right just to avoid a negative x, but it doesn't make a difference. Or I could do it on the left, guys, just to show you it's the same. So 4x, I'm going to subtract this 8x, so I only have x's on the left, and I'm going to add this negative 13, so I have my numbers on the right, because it's negative 13 here, so I'm going to add it, and I get plus 13 over there. 4x minus 8x is minus 4x, 17 plus 13 is 30, and then x is 30 divided by negative 4, which is negative 7.5. Use your calculator if you want. Okay, question 5a. Right, write 720 as a product of its prime factors. Okay, so guys, look, you could normally, you can just do this equals fact. So this is the answer, 2 to the 4 times 3 squared times 5. So it's good to have it, but it says show you're working clearly. So if you just write that down, you'll probably get no marks. So make sure you do your prime factor tree. Okay, so 720. You can break that into, let's just go 2 times 360. Or we could do 9 times 80. It doesn't matter what you start with, because you always break down each side until you get to its prime factors. So this guy is 3 times 3. Now once you get a prime number, you just circle it, 3 times 3. Then this guy becomes 10 times 8. 10 becomes 5 times 2. Circle these. This is a prime number. This is a prime number. And 8 becomes 2 times 4. this is a prime number, and 4 becomes 2 times 2. Hence, I can write down 720 equals 3 times 3, these two, times 5, times 2, times 2, times 2, times 2. And that's my answer. Or you can write it in the fancy way, 2 to the power of 4 times 3 squared times 5. Okay. Find the smallest whole number that 720 can be multiplied by to give a square number. Okay, so guys, this is only worth 1 mark. There is no fancy way of doing this, certainly, that is worth 1 mark. So I'm just going to do it like this. Firstly, 720 times 1. Is 720 a square number? No. If you want to check, you just do the square root of 720. If it's a square number, that will be a nice whole number. It isn't. So I do 720 times 2. Is that a square number? No. You can check it, but it isn't. 720 times 3. Is that a square number? No. Maybe do check it. So just do square root answer. No. Let's do 720 times 4. Is that a square number? Get the square root of the answer. No. 720 times 5. Okay, this actually is a square number, guys, and I know what it is. It's going to be, the square root of this is 60. So 60 times 60 is 3,600. Just check. There you go, 60. So the answer is 5. 5 is the smallest whole number that you can multiply 720 by to give a square number. There's no working required because it's only 1 mark. But if you want the working, it's 720 times 5 equals 3,600. And then the square root of 3,600 is 60. But remember, the answer is 5, not 60 or anything like that. It's the number that we multiply by. It is this number. Okay. Question 6. Lorenzo increases all the prices on his restaurant menu by 8%. Before the increase, the price of a dessert was this. Work out the price after the increase, right? That's straightforward, guys. It's 4.25 times 1.08. That will increase this by 8%. Calculator, please. 4.25 times 1.08 gives me 4.59. So this is 4.59, 4.59. After the increase, the price of lasagna was this. Work out the price of lasagna before the increase, right? So this, guys, is the harder one. So it's 9.45. So this is 108% is 9.45. Or the kind of more technical way to do this is you go, well, let me do it both ways, guys. 108% is 9.45. 1% is then 9.45 over 100, because I need to divide it, sorry, over 108. I'm dividing by this. And then 100% is this times 100. So that's my answer. Well, when I get it, it's 9.45 divided by 108 multiplied by 100. It's 8.75. 8.75. The other way to do it, probably that I prefer, guys, is x something times 1.08 is 9.45. What is the something? So it's 9.45 divided by 1.08, and this is the same answer. It's 8.75. Okay, question 7. Okay, we have a nice isosceles triangle, and we want to find the area of the triangle. Okay, so to find the area of a triangle, we need a half base times height. We have the height, we just need the base. To find the base, I can use Pythagoras' theorem, because this is a right angle triangle, guys. They very clearly show you a right angle triangle. So what I can do is, I'll call this x, and I can say x squared plus 6 squared equals 7.5 squared. That is Pythagoras' theorem. This squared plus this squared equals this squared. Then I can say x squared equals 7.5 squared minus 6 squared. You can get 6 squared and 7.5 squared if you want, guys, but I'm actually going to get it here because it saves me writing down everything. So I'm just going to do it all in one go. I'm going to say x is the square root of this. So the square root of 7.5 squared minus 6 squared is 9 over 2, or 4.5. Okay, good. X is 4.5. Now, if x is 4.5, the base, x equals 4.5. So x is this, but the base is then 2x. So the base equals 9, because if that's 4.5, if this is 4.5, and this is 4.5, 4.5 plus 4.5 is 9. So the area of the triangle is equal to a half the base, which is 9, times the height, which is 6, and a half this times this. You can do it on your calculator, guys, but it's actually half of 6 is 3. 3 times 9 is 27. So the area of the triangle is 27 centimeters squared. Tells us it here. Perfect. Okay, question 8. There are 10 people in a lift. These 10 people have a mean weight of 79.2. 3 of the people get out of the lift. These 3 people have a mean weight of 78 kilograms. Work out the mean of the 7 people on the lift. Right, okay, this is a combined mean question, guys. I've seen these types of questions many times. They're not easy, but they're familiar, so you should have practiced them. Okay, so what it means is 3 of them have a mean of 68. So I want to get the total weight is going to be 79.2 times 10. 3 of them assume 68 kilograms because their mean is 68. So I'm just going to do 3 times 68 equals, let's do that. 3 times 68 is 204. So 3 times 68 is 204. And the other 7 have a mean weight of I don't know, because we're trying to find it. So they have a mean weight of work out the mean weight of the 7 people. I don't know what it is. So let's just call it X. 7X. This is the mean weight of these people. Or sorry, that's the total weight of these people. The mean is X, so let's just do 7 of them. So 7X. Okay, so the total weight is now 204, all of these people, plus 7X. This is the weight of all of these people. And so that's the total weight of everyone together. I'm going to divide that by 10 to get the mean. So the total weight divided by 10 gives me the mean weight, which we know is 79.2. So I actually know that these 7 people, actually the lighter people got off, and some heavier people stayed on. So I just need to solve this equation. So I can multiply by 10. 204 plus 7x equals 79.2 times 10, which is 792. 7x equals 792 minus 204. If I subtract this, and then, well, what is that? 7x is, that would be 588. 588. And then x is equal to 588 divided by 7. 588 divided by 7 gives me 84 exactly, right? So that's 84. X is 84. And if you want to check your answer, just go 7 times 84 plus 3 times 68, and you should get, or divide by 10, and you should get 792. Okay, question 9. Nice question, guys. If we know our rules. So t to the 9 divided by t to the 3 is t to the 6. You subtract the powers. W to the 5 times W to the 7 is W to the 12. We add the powers. And then this one is slightly more difficult. I have to do them separately. So 5 cubed, because it's in the because the 5 is in the bracket and the cube is outside the bracket, I have to do 5 cubed, which is 125. Use your calculator if you want. I have to do x cubed, which is x cubed, and I have to do y squared cubed, which is y to the 6, because I multiply the powers. If it's a power raised to another power, I multiply the power. So that's my answer. 125 x cubed y to the 6. Okay. Question 10. Change 22 meters per second to a speed in kilometers per hour. So guys, I think every paper that I've done has a question very like this. So make sure you know how to do it. 22 meters per second to kilometers per hour. So this is 22 meters per second. So you can either change the meters to kilometers first or the seconds to hours first. I'm going to go do the seconds to hours first. So 22 meters per second is, okay, again guys, when I do these questions, I say you should just learn that 1 hour is 3,600 seconds, because 60 times 60 is, there's 60 seconds and 60 minutes. 60 times 60 is 3,600. So there's 3,600 seconds in an hour. So if he's going 22 meters in 1 second, how far is he going in 1 hour? So I have 22 meters times 3,600, because he's going to go, well, if he's going 22 meters in 1 second, he'll go 22 times 3,600 in 3,600 seconds, which is 79200. So this is 79200 meters per hour. Okay, so now we're in per hour, but we need to do kilometers. We need to change this into kilometers. So how do I turn meters into kilometers? I just divide by 1,000, because there's 1,000 meters in a kilometer. So 1,000 meters equals 1 kilometer. So divide by 1,000, I get 7.92 kilometers per hour. So this is 7.92. Okay, question 11. Okay, 3 years ago, the ratio of Tom's age to Clemmie's age was 2 to 7. Tom is now 15 and Clemmie is now X. Find the value of X. Okay, so 3 years ago, Tom, what was Tom? Well, Tom was 12, because 15 minus 3 years ago is 12. So 3 years ago, Tom was 12. And Clemmie, if that's how you say her name, Clemmie was, she's now X. So 3 years ago, she was X minus 3. Okay, now it said the ratio of Tom's age to Clemmie's age, which would be 12. Back then, it would have been 12 to X minus 3. That ratio equals 2 to 7. Okay, so you could, guys, figure it out by saying 2 times 6 gives me 12. So 7 times 6 gives me this. Hence, the answer would be, well, 45. But let me just show you how to do it more kind of technical way. If this ratio is true, 12 over x minus 3 must equal 2 over 7. And you can solve this equation. But if you think of this as equivalent fractions, look, 2 times 6 is 12, 7 times 6 is 42. So this must equal 42. Or you can multiply across. So let's just do that. 7 times 12 is 84. This is cross multiplying. This times this. And this times this is 2 times x minus 3. Divide by 2. That gives me 42 equals x minus 3. And x equals 45. And that's the answer. So as I said, the other way to think of it is you could have done 2 times 6 gives me 12. So 7 times 6 gives me 42. So x minus 3 has to equal 42. X equals 45. That's a kind of a quicker way to do it. Perhaps this way is more, well, it shows more understanding. And if the numbers were more complicated, you might need to know how to do it that way. Okay, question 12. A box in the shape of a cuboid is to be put on a table. The whole of one face of the box will be in contact. The force exerted by the box is always 105 newtons. The greatest pressure exerted by the box is P. The least pressure is Q. Work out P minus Q. Okay, so basically, what are we going to do? Well, the box. Okay, let's draw a box. The box is going to be, it's 5 times 4 times 3. So we have a cuboid box. Actually, it'll be maybe something like this. Okay, maybe not a perfect drawing, guys, but you get the point. This is a cuboid box, and it's 5 times 4 times 3. Now, this is a nice question, actually. It's a good question, because we know pressure is force divided by area. So which way do I want to put this box on the ground to maximize the pressure? So remember, pressure, if you push, let's say, a bottle down on someone's arm, it doesn't hurt that much because there's not much pressure, because the area of the bottle is quite big. So the bigger the area, the less the pressure. But if you put a needle on someone's arm, it'll cut through their skin, because the area is so small, the pressure is greater. So basically, the point I'm trying to make is higher pressure means smaller area. Okay, so the greatest pressure, so P will have small area, or let me write that in English, guys. Greater pressure means small area. Least pressure, or lower pressure, let's say lower pressure means large area. So how can I put this box down on a table? So we're going to put it on a table. Let's say my table is here, guys. Let's draw a green table. Okay, hang on, let's draw it here. I'm going to put this box on this table. Like this. So this is a table, guys. Again, not a fantastically drawn one, but a table nonetheless. So we're going to put this box on the table like this. Now the box is on the table. How do I minimize the area? Well, if you think about it, if I'm putting this box on the table, the small area will have, so small area, the smallest area is equal to 3 times 4, which is 12. Because if I put this on this side, imagine I just flipped the box upside down and put it down on this side, the area would be 12 centimeters squared. The largest area would be, well, it would actually be this one, the 5 times 4. 5 times 4, which is 20. So this is the smallest area, this is the largest area. So that means this is the one that has the greater pressure, and this is the one that has the smaller pressure. So obviously, guys, it's a fairly complicated question, but hopefully this makes sense. So P is the pressure that has, it's the greatest pressure. That's P. And Q is the least pressure. So for P, I'm going to do my force, which is 105, given in the question, divided by 12. 105 divided by 12. 105 divided by 12 is 8.75. And Q is 105 divided by 20. This one will be the least pressure. 105 divided by 20, which is 5.25. That's P and that's Q. He says work out the value of P minus Q, so all I have to do is say 8.75 minus 5.25, and that equals 3.5. There we go. Question 13. On the Venn diagram, shade the set A union B not intersection C. Okay, so what's not in A union B? So guys, I saw a nice technique recently of doing these questions. It was by putting a little tick, a different color tick in the regions that satisfy each of these things. So A union B not, I'm going to do with a purple tick. So not A union B will be this section and the outside. It's not anything in A or anything in B. And then the C section I'll do with a green. So that's this, 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 and this. But the question is, which shade this region? So it's this intersection C, so it has to be the one with the green and the purple tick, because the intersection means it has to be both of these. So which one do I shade? Well, I shade the this part here. Do it a bit better than my one, guys, but you get my point, right? There we go. This is shaded. Okay, next one. Use set notation to describe this shaded region on the Venn diagram. Okay, this is slightly more complicated. So two ways to do it. So this section here is D intersection F. So I'm just going to write D intersection F. And this section here is E intersection F. So I'm going to write E intersection F. And it's the union of both of these. So it's this union this. So that's kind of my first way of thinking about it. Another way you could do it is you could also say D union E. D union E. So that would be all of these, shall we say. This is D union E. Intersection F, because F is, let's choose a different color. F is this, 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 and this, which has, well, the one I want is one with the 2 ticks, hence I do intersection, this intersection F. So both of these are correct. Okay, 14, tree diagram. You should, guys, always be happy when you see a tree diagram question. Well, generally, sometimes they're really hard, but this one's not. So each day Barney goes to college. The probability that he will go to college by bus is 0.3. So straight away, guys, that's 0.3, that's 0.7. When he goes by bus, the probability to be late is 0.2. That's 0.2, that's 0.8. When he walks to college, the probability he will be late is 0.1. 0.1, not late, 0.9. 2 marks, easy peasy. Second question, he will go to college on 200 days next year. Work out an estimate for the number of days Barney will be late for college next year. Okay, so the probability, first I need to find out the probability he will be late. The probability he will be late is, it is this times this, bus and late, or this times this, walk and late. So this times this is 0.06, and this times this is 0.07. So it's just 0.06 plus 0.07, which is 0.13. But he's going to go to college 200 days. So all I need to do is find out what is 13% of 200, because he's going to be late on average 13% of the time. So I just need to do this times 0.13, and that gives me 200 times 0.13 is 26. So he'll be late 26 days. Okay, that is question 14. Question 15. The straight line L1 has this equation. Straight line L2 is perpendicular, right? So let's underline this, guy. Perpendicular to L1 and passes through this point. Find an equation for L2 in this form. Okay, firstly, what is the gradient of L1? To find the gradient of L1, I have to rearrange this. So I have to say y equals divide by 2. So that gives me 3x minus 5 over 2. So I divide this by 2, 3x, and this by 2, 5 over 2. Hence, or therefore, this is a fancy way to write therefore, m equals 3. The gradient is 3 for L1. L1 for L1. For L2, m equals, it's perpendicular, so if I have the gradient, the perpendicular gradient is the negative reciprocal. So it's minus 1 over 3. Okay, now I have a point, so the point is 9 minus 1, and the gradient is minus 1 over 3. So I just need to find the equation of the line from this and this. So guys, my preferred formula, there's two formulae. You have your y equals mx plus c, and that's fine, you can use it, or the y minus y1 equals m into x minus x1. This is actually my preferred formula, just because there's less rearranging to do, but both work out fine. So I have y minus y1, which is -1. So be super careful, guys. This is x1, y1. It's minus -1, which is going to be plus eventually, so be very, very careful. Equals m, this m, which is minus a third, into x minus 9. Okay. Then I'm going to just clean up this. So that's y plus 1 equals minus a third into x minus 9. He wants it in this form, so he doesn't want the third. So I'm going to multiply across by 3. Now I multiply everything by 3. So it's 3y plus 3 equals negative x minus 9. So just be super careful here, guys. I've multiplied across by this 3, which means this one disappears, but I'm still left with this negative here. So it's 3y plus 3 equals negative x, because of this negative, plus 9 because it's minus minus, that's plus. Finally, he wants it in a particular form, which is this form, which is ay plus bx equals c. So this is 3y plus x equals 3y plus x equals 6, because I'm going to do 9 minus 3 is 6. So actually, guys, I was just looking at the answer there. The answer they give is y plus a third x equals 2. I didn't realize that they never said a and b and c are integers. Often they do. So this would have been fine too, but this is the exact same answer, because if you just multiply this by 3, you get this. So this is fine for sure. Okay, question 16. A particle is moving along a straight line. This is his displacement at time t. At time t, the velocity is v. Find an expression for v in terms of t. Right. So guys, I use this acronym, if that's the right word, SVA, and it means displacement, velocity, acceleration. And to get from S to V to A, we differentiate. So if I have the displacement, which I do, S equals 4t cubed minus 6t squared plus 5t. To get the velocity, I differentiate with respect to time, because the change in displacement with respect to time is the velocity. So I multiply the power. 3 times 4 is 12. Subtract 1 from the power, 12t squared, minus multiply by the power, 12t, and 5t just becomes 5. Guys, that's a pretty easy derivative. If you don't know what I was doing there, then you need to learn differentiation, but there's rules that are pretty straightforward to follow. That is the derivative. Hence, the velocity is 12t squared minus 12t plus 5. That's it. Then he says find the time at which the acceleration of the particle is 6 meters per second squared. Right. So remember, guys, SVA. So very awesome. Sorry, that's what I meant to say. So very awesome. Displacement, velocity, acceleration. If I have displacement, I differentiate and get velocity. And if I have velocity, I can differentiate and get acceleration. Because that's what acceleration is. It's the rate of change of velocity. So if I have velocity equals 12t squared minus 12t plus 5. If I differentiate this, dv dt, I get the acceleration. That's what acceleration is. It's dv dt. So again, 2 times 12 is 24. 24t to the power of 1 minus 12. This t disappears, and this 5 is a constant. That disappears. So this is the acceleration. But he says find the time at which the acceleration is 6 meters per second squared. So I need to find the time when this is equal to 6. So it's acceleration equals 6. Solve this. 24t equals 6 plus 12, which is 18. T is equal to 18 over 24, and 18 over 24 is 3/4 or 0.75. So the time is 0.75 seconds. Okay, question 7. So the histogram shows information about the ages of passengers on a plane. No one on the plane is over 80 years. Okay, so here we go. It says 24 passengers on the plane are aged between 40 and 60. Work out the total number of passengers on the plane. Right. So the key, guys, is to find out. Remember, the area gives you the frequency. So the area, it's not this, it's not the y-axis, it is the area tells us how many people. So it says 24 between 40 and 60. So what I want to do is find the area of this. If I can find the area of this box, then I can find out how many squares per person. And if I can find out how many squares per person, the rest of the question is easy. So the area of this blue area is equal to the length, which is 20, because 40 to 60 is obviously 20, and the height is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 small squares. So the area is 120. And he says 24 passengers are in this range of ages. So the 120 squares represents, or I'll write equals 24 people or passengers. So one person is then going to be 120 divided by 24. So 120 divided by 24 gives me 5. Right, so this is the key to the whole question, guys. 5 little squares gives me one person. So let's find out in total how many little squares there are. So I just need to do this times this, this times this, this times this, and add them all up. So over here, I'll do just that. I'll do 10 times 2 equals 20. That's this. 10 times 2, 20. This guy is 10 times 9, because he goes up to 9. So that's 10 times 9 is 90. This guy is 5 times, it's 5 times 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 31, 32. 5 times 32 is 160. Then this guy is 5, 10, 15 times 10. 15 times 10 is 150. This guy we know is 20 times 6, which is 120. 20 times 6 equals 120. And then this guy is 20 times 4, which is 80. So the total area, let's write it here, total area is equal to all of these added together. So all of these added together, let's take out our calculator, guys, so we don't make a mistake. 20 plus 90 plus 160 plus 150 plus 120 plus 80 is 620. So the total area is 620. And then I need to do 620 divided by 5, because remember 5 represents one person. And that is, I didn't realize they didn't give me enough space here, but whatever. This divided by 5 is equal to 124. So that means the total number of people is 124. Okay. A passenger on the plane speak at random. Work out an estimate for the probability that this person is older than 55 years. Right. So older than 55, guys, is here. This is my 55. So we need to figure out how many people are above 55. But be careful, it includes all of these from 55 to 80. So I need to find that area. So let's do over 55. We have, I'll separate them. I'll do this. 5 times 6. 5 times 6 is 30. And I'll do 20 times 4 is 80. 20 times 4 is 80. So we have 110. So the area equals 110. The number of people is 110 divided by 5, because again, there's 5 squares per person. 110 divided by 5 is 22. So now there's 22 people over 55. There's a total of 124. My probability is 22 out of 124. You can simplify it, but you don't have to because it's probability. Okay, question 18. So we have to expand and simplify 3 brackets. So to do this, guys, you do the first, well, do 2 first. It doesn't matter which 2 you choose. You can choose these 2, you could even choose these 2, but you multiply them out first separately, and you do it the old school way, which is this times this, this times this, this times this, and this times this. So this gives us, and we'd be super careful, guys, x times 2x is 2x squared, x times 3 is plus 3x, 2 times 2x is plus 4x, 2 times 3 is plus 6. Gives us 2x squared plus 7x plus 6. Okay, then I get this, 2x squared plus 7x plus 6, and I multiply it by the third one, which is x minus 7. Now, you have to do, guys, it's the same thing. You do the first times the first times the second. Then you do the second times the first, the second times the second, and the third times the first, and the third times the second, like that. Be super careful, guys, because the number one place people lose marks here, and I would argue the majority of students lose marks here, is because they just make a small mistake, because there's so many opportunities to make a small mistake. So don't. 2x squared times x is 2x cubed. 2x squared times minus 7 is minus 14x squared. 7x times x is plus 7x. 7x times minus 7 is minus 49x. 6 times x is plus 6x. 6 times negative 7 is minus 42. Simplify this. 2x cubed minus, oh look guys, I made a mistake there. This was 7x times x is 7x squared. I forgot to put a 2 there. Minus 14x squared plus 7x squared is minus 7x squared. Minus 49x plus 6x is minus 43x. and then minus 42. And that's it. That is the answer. Okay, part B. Make M the subject. Okay, not easy, guys, but familiar. We've seen these questions before. First step, multiply across by this denominator. So I have p squared times 2m minus y equals x plus m. So by multiplying across by this, it removes the denominator. Now, multiply out the brackets. So it's p squared times 2m, or 2m p squared. P squared times minus y is minus y p squared equals x plus m. I am going to bring my m's, I want all my m's, the terms with an m in it, on the left. So I'm going to subtract this m minus m. And everything else, the x is there, but this minus y p squared, I'm going to add over here, minus y p squared. Then, this is the kind of tricky bit, I factorize m, take out m, and I get 2p squared minus 1, because m times 2p squared is this, m times negative 1 is this. This is x plus y p squared. And then finally, I divide by this. So it's going to be x plus y p squared over 2p squared minus 1. Okay, as I say, guys, not easy, but familiar. And if you practice enough of these, you can do them for sure. Okay, question 19. So the 25th term of an arithmetic series is this. So this is the 25th term. Arithmetic series is this, and the sum of the first 20 terms of the series is 765. So here are 2 bits of information, and then it says find the 16th term of the arithmetic sequence, or the arithmetic series. Okay, so basically, guys, there's 2 formulae that we need to know. The first one is u of n, the nth term, and it's a plus n minus 1 d. And the second formula is the sum of n terms, and that's Sn equals n over 2 into 2a plus n minus 1d. Now, importantly, guys, this one is in the formula booklet, and this one is not in the formula booklet. So you have to learn this formula. It's the first term plus n minus 1 times the common difference. Okay, so this is not an easy question. However, I have seen this question a number of different times, so it's somewhat familiar. It's difficult, familiar. Essentially, we don't know the first term and we don't know the common difference. So we can't use any of these formulae, kind of. Or another way to think about it is we're going to use both of the formulae, create 2 equations with 2 unknowns, and then solve the equations simultaneously. So that's what we're going to do. And this will be the first, this bit of information here we will use for our first equation, and then this bit of information here we'll use for our second equation. Okay, so let's look at the first one. The 25th term is 44.5. So that means u of 25 is equal to 44.5, the 25th term. And we know u of 25 is from the formula a plus n minus 1, 25 minus 1 d, which is a plus 24d. So I know a plus 24d equals 44.5. That is my first equation. Equation number 1. My second equation I'll get from the sum, because this is the sum of the first 30 terms. So S30 is equal to 765. It tells us in the question. And S30 from the formula is n over 2, or 30 over 2, 2 times a, plus n minus 1d, which is 30 minus 1d. close bracket. This is equal to 15 times 2a plus 29d. And this is equal to 765. 765. Now, this is my second equation. Now, I can again, guys, make this a little bit. 765 equals, well, actually, do you know what I might be able to do? Is divide by 15. It would be nice if 765 could be divided by 15. It can. So now I can actually just write this. 51 equals 2a plus 29d. So that's my second equation. I've divided both sides by 15. Let's do this for completeness. This is my second equation. Now I'm going to use these two equations to solve simultaneously. So I'll start with this one. This is, and I'll write it like this, 2a plus 29d is equal to 51. And this one, but I'm going to multiply it by 2 because I want the a's to be the same. So 2a plus 48d, I multiply this by 2 equals this by 2. 44.5 times 2 is 89. Okay, now I'm going to subtract the equations. That will eliminate the a's. So the a's disappear. 29 minus 48d is minus 19. So minus 19d is equal to 51 minus 51 minus 51 minus 89. Sorry, I'm just going to use my calculator, guys. 51 minus 89 is minus 38. Minus 38, which is quite nice, guys, because I'm going to get d is negative 38 over negative 19, which is 2. So now I have my d. d is 2. Once I have d, how do I find a? Well, I'm going to sub it back into one of these. That's right, sub into, let's do equation 1, which is this green equation. So I have a plus 24d, or 24 times 2, that's this equation, a plus 24 times 2 equals 44.5. a plus 24 times 2 is 48, equals 44.5, and then a is equal to 44.5 minus 48 is negative 3.5. Okay, now I have a and I have d. The question says, so I'm not finished, the question says find the 16th term of the arithmetic series. So the 16th term, I'm going to use this equation, or this one, u of n. u of n equals a plus n minus 1 d. But I want u of 16. u of 16 equals a, which I have, minus 3.5, plus 16 minus 1, which is 15. 16 minus 1 is 15. d is 2. Sorry, u16 is, yeah, sorry, this is correct, equals minus 3.5 plus 30. 30 minus 3.5 is 26.5, which is correct. That is the 16th term. Okay, obviously, guys, that is not an easy question, but it's a familiar and it's not totally impossible. There's two formulae that everyone can use. There's 2 bits of information that everyone can sub in. So you can definitely get 2 marks. Then solve simultaneously. Not easy, but again, we've all done that. And then finally, just once you have a and d, you get the 16th term, or whatever they're asking. Okay, question 20. A equals this, where n is an integer. Find an expression in terms of n for a to the power of 3 over 2. Okay, so this question, guys, it's actually not too bad, but you need to know your rules of indices. So let's first write a is 25 times 10 to the power of 14n. So a to the power of 3 over 2 equals all of this to the power of 3 over 2, but I can do it like this. I can do 25 to the power of 3 over 2 times 10 to the 14n to the power of 3 over 2. So I'm just kind of separating them. This to the power of 3 over 2 times this to the power of 3 over 2. And this equals 25 to the power of 3 over 2, guys. It is actually 125. Now, look, you can use your calculator. It's 25 to the power of 3 over 2, 125. Or you can remember that what it is the square root of 25 cubed, which is 5 cubed, which is 125, 5 times 5 times 5. Okay, and then this is 10 to the power of, we just multiply, because a power raised to another power, you multiply them. So 14 times 3 over 2 is actually, and there's an n, so it's 21, it's 21n. That is because 14n times 3 over 2 is equal to, 3 times 14 is 42, so it's 42n over 2, which is 21n. Or the way I did it in my head is I said 2 into 14 goes 7 times, 7 times 3 is 21. Okay, so this is it, but it says give your answer in standard form. So that's no good, because I need the first number has to be between 1 and 10. So this has to become 1.25. Now, if I make this into 1.25, I'm essentially dividing by 100, because 125 divided by 100 is this. So I can't just divide by 100 without multiplying by 100. So this is 125 is actually 125 times 100, or sorry, 1.25 times 100. That is that. It is the same thing. This is the same as this. And then I'm just going to do times 10 to the power of 21n, because that's just the same as this. Now, this is 1.25 times 10 squared times 10 to the power of 21n. 100 is 10 squared. We're all okay with that. And then when I'm multiplying, what do I do to the powers? I add them. So this becomes times 10 to the power of 21n plus 2. So I'm going to add the power. So that's the answer. 1.25 times 10 to the power of 21n plus 2. It's in standard form because it's some number times 10 to the power of another number. Okay, not an easy question, guys, obviously, but I don't know, maybe manageable. Question 21. A curve has equation this. There's only one maximum point on the curve. The coordinates of this maximum are 4, 3. Write down the coordinates of the maximum point on this curve. Right, so I don't know what this curve looks like. They haven't told me, but they say it's got a maximum. So this is the maximum point, and it says the coordinates are 4, 3. So what happens to this maximum point under these transformations? So this is a transformations question. So f of x minus 5, what this does is it translates the graph 5 units to the right. So this graph is moving over here 5 units. Now if I move it this way, I don't move it up and down, the 3 will stay the same because I'm not moving it up or down, and the 4 will go to 9. So the coordinates are 9, 3. Similarly here, if it's 3fx, what I'm doing is I'm multiplying the y coordinate by 3. So I'm actually multiplying by 3 because this is a stretch. So what happens is the 4 stays the same because I'm not moving the x coordinate. I'm stretching this by 3, so this becomes 9 because it's 3 times 3 gives me 9. Okay, next one. This is the graph of y equals a sine bx, right? So I would argue, guys, that this question 21, it's one of the harder topics, fine, but this isn't an impossible question once you understand the basic transformations and these sinusoidal graphs. So A is the amplitude. It's how high this goes up from 0. Or maybe a better way of putting it is half the distance from the top to the bottom. It is half that distance. So that distance is 4, so the amplitude is 2. Now the amplitude is 2, but we have to be extremely careful here, because if we were to draw this graph and A was 2, because sine, the way sine works is it goes up first, it would actually go up, turn here, then come down, turn, oops, it would go up here, excuse my graph guys, we don't have to draw it luckily, turn there, up there, and keep going. So that is what you don't have to draw this, guys, obviously. That is what y equals 2 sine bx would look like. But our graph doesn't do that. It does this. It's actually a reflection in the x-axis. So a isn't 2, a is actually negative 2. So I'm just going to write that straight down. A equals negative 2, because the negative actually reflects it in the x-axis. So that's tricky, to be fair. Then we find b. Okay, so the formula to find b is, we know 360 divided by b is equal to the period of the function. Now the period of this function is how far does it go before repeating itself? Well, it goes from here to here. That is the period, that distance, and then you'll see it does it again, or you can do it from here to here. It's basically when does it come back to itself. Now if you look at this, these boxes are going in 30s, so this is 30, 60, 90, 120, or from here 30, 60, 90, 120. So the period is 120. Hence 360 over b equals 120. And then we rearrange this and we have 360 equals 120b. b is equal to 360 over 120. I can do that in my head. B is equal to 3. 360 divided by 120 is 3. Okay, done. That is correct. Question 22. Okay, simultaneous equations with a quadratic. Again, not easy at all, but familiar. I've seen this question many times. And they've given us y nicely. I don't have to rearrange it. So I'm going to sub this into equation 1. Okay, so instead of y, I'm going to put 2x plus 1. So 2x squared plus 3 times. Instead of y, I'm putting 2x plus 1 squared. This, guys, is y squared. This is y squared, because this is y. I have substituted it. Okay, this gives me, this equals 5. So it's this plus 3. Instead of y, I put 2x plus 1. That's worth 1 mark. Everybody can get that mark for sure. Then we need to expand all this. So I have 2x squared plus 3 times. This expanded, do it at the side, guys, if you need to. 2x plus 1 times 2x plus 1 equals this times this, 4x squared. This times this plus 2x. This times this plus 2x. This times this plus 1. Giving me 4x squared plus 4x plus 1. Right, that I'm going to put here. 4x squared plus 4x plus 1 equals 5. Don't forget to multiply by 3. So I have my 2x squared plus 3 times 4 is 12x squared. 3 times 4 is 12x. 3 times 1 is 3. And this equals 5. Okay. This plus this is 14x squared plus 12x minus 2 equals 0. I'm going to subtract the 5. I'm going to divide by 2 because that will make things nicer. 7x squared plus 6x minus 1 equals 0. At this point, if you need to use your calculator, do, but we want to show the factors. So the factors of 7x squared are 7x and x. The factors of 1 are 1 and 1. I need this one to be plus and this one to be minus because I'll have 7x minus x is 6x. So I have 7x minus 1 times x plus 1 equals 0. Solve these separately. I know I'm going quite quickly, guys, but this is a long question. 7x minus 1 equals 0. 7x equals 1. X equals 1 over 7. And here, x plus 1 equals 0. X equals negative 1. Okay, then once you have your x's, so for x equals 1 over 7, y is equal to 2 times 1 over 7, 2 times 1 over 7 plus 1. That's this 2 times 1 over 7 plus 1, which is 2 over 7 plus 7 over 7 is 9 over 7, or use your calculator, guys, if you need that. Need to at that point. And here for x equals negative 1, y is equal to 2 times negative 1 plus 1, which is negative 2 plus 1, which is also negative 1. Okay, done. Now the only thing, guys, to be careful of, it says you have to put the x, the correct x with the correct x, so for, or with the correct y. So I like to write it like this: x equals 1/7, y equals 9/7, or x equals negative 1, y equals negative 1. Those are my two solutions solved. Okay. Question 23. Right, this, guys, I think is one of the trickier circle theorems questions. Obviously, it's question 23. It's going to be hard, but here we go. So one thing to note straight away is that B, C, D, F are all on the circle. So remember, that circle theorem is one that jumps out at me straight away, that opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180. So I'm going to be using that. I'm going to be using that theorem for sure. Okay. I'm actually a bit stuck here, but let's have a think. Right. So this, I have two triangles, two big triangles. This one and this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is let's write in any angle I can figure out. So this one will be 180 minus 32, which is 148 minus x. Okay, because in this triangle here, BCE, the angles add up to 180. So I'm going to do 180 minus 32 minus x, which is 148 minus x. So that angle there is 148 minus x. This angle is then, let's do this angle, 180 I'm going to use, so now guys, I'm looking at, this is actually really hard. I'm looking at this triangle, ACD. So this angle is 180 minus 54 minus this. Now be careful guys, it's 1, 4, hang on, I need more space. This is 180 minus 54 minus this, which is 148 minus x. Okay, that is because all of these angles, this plus this plus this, add up to 180 because it's a triangle. Okay, so this is equal to, I need a calculator guys, 180 minus 54 minus 148, which is negative 22. So this is equal to negative 22, but it's minus minus x, so plus x, which is equal to, if you like, x minus 22. So this angle here is x minus 22. Okay, now that's actually, yeah, I think that might do it, because I can then say this angle plus this angle, so that's my x minus 22 plus x, these two angles have to equal 180, because remember what I said at the start, opposite angles in a cyclic quadrilateral add up to 180. Therefore this plus this equals 180. So I kind of knew from the beginning that if I could find this angle in terms of x, then I was good to go. And I knew I'd have to use the 32 and the 54. Okay, so now I just need to solve this. X plus x is 2x. 180 plus 22 is 202. And then divide by 2, x is equal to 101 degrees. Okay, guys, that's not easy. I'm sure there's plenty of other ways to do it, but that's the one I found most straightforward. Okay, 101 degrees. All right, guys, we have 2 more questions left. Yeah, and a warning, this question's hard, very hard. But let's do it. So that's OA, that's OC is C, and AB is 2C. So this is 2C. And then it says P is the point such that AP to PB is 3 to 1. So this is our 3 to 1. Now this whole, let's write this here. So this whole vector from here to here is 2C. It tells us that here. But it says it's in the ratio 3 to 1. Now guys, if you remember 3 to 1, if you divide by a ratio, you add these together and you get 4, and you then say, right, this is 3/4 and this is 1/4. So this AP here, this is actually equal to 3/4 of, well, let me do it here, 3/4 of 2C. And 3/4 of 2C is 3 over 2c. So this is 3 over 2c. And then this would be 1 over 2c. But we don't need that, so let's just leave this here for a second. Okay, now it then says Q is the point AC such that OQP is a straight line. So this is a straight line from here to here, and it goes through Q. Use a vector method to find the ratio of AQ to QC. Okay, so obviously, guys, as I've said, not a nice question. So the first thing I want to do is get AC. AC is equal to minus A plus C. That is me going down this, minus A plus C, and I get AC. And, oops, I didn't want to do that. And I can write this maybe more neatly as C minus A. Okay, that means, so this is AC is C minus A. Now, what I also want is AQ. But I don't know the ratio of AQ to QC, because that's actually what I'm trying to find. So I don't know how much of AC. It looks like it's halfway down, but I mean, I can't say that for sure. In fact, I definitely can't say that. So the only thing I can do is say that AQ is some multiple of this. So I'm going to say it's K times C minus A. So AQ is K times C minus A. K as in some, C minus A times something will give me AQ. Now obviously K will be less than 1 because it's like a fraction of it, but it is some multiple. Like let's say, imagine if it was a half, it would be, K would be a half of C minus A, because it would be a half of that. Okay, now the question becomes, let's find K. If I can find K, I haven't finished, but I'm basically, that's the hard part. So let's find K. And we're going to use the fact that O, Q, and P are on a straight line to find it. So I'm going to do OQ first, and then I'm going to do OP. So OQ is equal to A plus this, K times C minus A, because I'm going up to A and then down to Q. And we know AQ is this. So it's just A plus this. And I'm going to multiply this out to give us A plus KC minus KA. Then I'm going to get the A's together. This would be A minus KA plus KC, which is actually I'll take out the A, so it's 1 minus KA plus KC. Okay, that's OQ. Then I'm going to get OP. OP is just, this one's easier, guys, you'd be glad to know, it's just A plus 3 over 2 C. A plus 3 over 2 C. Okay, now this is the tricky bit, guys. This is what makes this a really, really hard question. The fact that, so it says here, Q is the point such that OPQ is a straight line. So the fact that it's a straight line, so sometimes you prove that a point, or you have to prove that it is a straight line. And the way you prove it's a straight line is by showing that it's multiples. It's a multiple, that one vector is a multiple of the other vector. And if they are multiple, if they're going in the same direction and they both pass through the same point, they're on a straight line. Now this question, they're telling us it is a straight line. So we're kind of going to go backwards. We're going to use the fact that it's a straight line to find k. And we're going to use the fact that they are multiples of each other. So this, let me try and draw this, guys. OQ, which is this is OQ. This is a multiple of this. Because, again, they're on a straight line, they're a multiple. So this and this are multiples of each other, which means that, and because this has an A component and a C component, and this has an A component and a C component, this means that when we multiply this by something, we get, well, think of it, guys, as a 1 there. So when we multiply 1 minus k by something, we get 1. And when we multiply k by the same thing, we get 3 over 2. So let me try and explain this. When I do 1 minus k times something, some multiple, let's bring in a new parameter, t. If I multiply 1 minus k by t, I get 1. That is because the 1 minus k, the coefficient of a, if you like, the a component, this part, this 1 minus k, has to be a multiple of 1. So this times something equals 1. That means t is equal to 1 over 1 minus k. Then the same must be true for the k. So k, or for the c component, I should say. So k times t has to equal 3 over 2. Because this times something equals 1, and this times the same thing equals 3 over 2. Okay, rearrange here. T is equal to 3 over 2k. Right. Now, I'm going to equate these two to find k, because the multiple, as I said, is the same. So these are the same thing. So that means 1 over 1 minus k equals 3 over 2k. Cross multiply, 2k is equal to 3 times 1 minus k. 2k equals 3 minus 3k. Add the 3k to this side, it gives me 5k equals 3, and then k is equal to 3 over 5. Okay, so I have found k. Am I finished? No. K is 3/5. So if you think about it, guys, if this k was originally what I multiplied this by to get AQ. So it's like this is 3/5. So this must be 2/5. Hence the ratio of AQ to QC has to be 3 to 2. So 3/5 to 2/5, or 3 to 2. Okay, guys, yeah, I know very well that is not my first time doing this question. I actually couldn't do it the first time live on when I was recording, so I had to stop and figure out how to do it. Really, really hard question. I think that's definitely one of the hardest questions I've done yet, and I'm on, I think, my 9th paper, so don't feel too bad if you can do it. Okay, last question. Question 25. A boat sails from point X to point Y and then to point Z. Y is on a bearing of 280 degrees from X. Z is on a bearing of 220 degrees from Y. The distance from X to Y is this, Y to Z is this. Work out the bearing of Z to X, right? Okay, obviously guys, this is the last question. It's worth 5 marks. It's going to be difficult, but without a doubt, I need to draw a diagram. If you didn't draw a diagram here, guys, I don't actually know how you do it, but we're going to draw a diagram. So it says Y is on a bearing of 280 degrees from X. So we're going to start with X. Let's draw X here. This is X, a point X. And it says Y is on a bearing of 280 degrees from X. Now guys, I like to put, when we're talking about bearings, you want to put a north line from the point. So because with bearings, you start north and you turn clockwise. So we're going to turn right 280 degrees. So that's 90, 180, 270 is exactly there, and 280 will be somewhere up here like this. So Y is here. It is on a bearing of 280 degrees from X. So that is Y. And it means this angle here is 280 degrees. This is 280 degrees. Now, if this is 280 degrees, this has to be 80. And that's important because, well, we're going to use that angle for sure. But look, the reason that's 80 is because 280 plus 80 gives you 360, the full circle. Right, this is Y. Again, guys, I'm going to draw this north line. North. Okay. Then it says Z is on a bearing of 220 degrees from Y, right? 220. Now, it doesn't have to be accurate, guys, but we want to be as close as possible to accurate. So where's 220 degrees? Well, that's 90. That's 180. That's 270. So 220 is actually going to be down here somewhere. Somewhere there. In fact, 225. No, is that right? So that's 180. Yeah, 225 would be exactly there. It's like exactly a diagonal. So it's a little bit more, let's say there. Also, guys, this length is bigger than this length because it's 6. This length is 6 and this length is 3.5. I'll put that in. This is 3.5. and this is 6, so I'll make that length a bit bigger. Again, your diagram doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be somewhat reasonable. Otherwise, you won't be able to solve the problem. Okay, I can put a north here as well, guys. I don't know if I'll need it, but no harm to do it. Let me do that again. Okay, that's north, that's 6. That's 3.5. Now, okay, yeah, so this is 220. That's 220 degrees because Z is on a bearing of 220 from Y. Like the Z is on a bearing of 220 from Y. So this angle here is 220. The full thing. But let's keep that to the side for a second, guys. That is my 220. But I know, and this comes up a lot, guys, with bearings, these are angles with parallel lines. So this angle and this angle are actually what we call co-interior angles. So that angle there is 100. It's 100 because this plus this has to equal 180. You may remember this from, this is our C angles. Sometimes it's called C angles. It's like this. So this angle here, these two, this and this add up to 180. Okay, so this is 100. Now, remember what I said, guys. The big one from here to here was 220. So if that's 100, this one must be 120, because I have my 100 plus 120 gives me my 220 that was given there. Okay, now what are we even doing? We have to work out the bearing of z from x. Okay, so he wants us to find this angle here. So the bearing of z from x is actually this angle from here to there, and we stop. Now the way to get that, guys, I think the best plan is to get this angle, and then I can just subtract. I can subtract. Well, actually, sorry, guys, I have this angle. No, sorry, I don't have this angle. So if I get this angle here, and I know this angle is 80, then what I can do is I can subtract from 360. So if I had the pink angle and I know this is 80, then 360 minus this total angle will give me the bearing that I want. So that's my plan. Get the pink angle, and I have the solution. How do I get the pink angle? Well, I'd like to use, this is a non-right angle triangle, so I'd like to use either the cosine rule or the sine rule. To use the cosine rule, I need all three sides, which I don't have. To use the sine rule, I can do sine of this over this equals sine of this over this. I need this angle, or this side, so I don't have x. How can I get x? Well, I can get it using the cosine rule. So let's do just that. So guys, I am going to delete that. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and I'm going to put it, well, I'll make it a bit bigger and put it there. Okay, so I'm going to get x using the cosine rule. X squared, cosine rule, is x squared equals this squared, 6 squared, plus 3.5 squared, minus, I need to move this down, guys, minus 2 times 6 times 3.5 times cos 120 degrees. That is the cosine rule. This squared equals this squared plus this squared, minus 2 times this cos of this. X squared equals x squared equals, so let's do all of this on the calculator, guys, in one go. 6 squared plus 3.5 squared minus 2 times 6 times 3.5 times cos of 120, 277 over 4. Let's just leave it like that. 277 over 4. X is then the square root of 277 over 4, which is the square root of this. I'll do square root answer, and I get 8.32166. 8.32166. Note, I'm going to round it to like 6 significant figures, not one decimal place, because it says one decimal place here, but we'll round our answer to one decimal place. Okay, now I have this side. So I could actually use the cosine rule again to find this pink angle. Let's call this pink angle, let's call it theta, guys. I hope you don't mind me using the Greek letter theta. So how am I going to find theta? Well, I'm going to use the sine rule. So I'm going to say sine of theta over 6, sine of this over this, equals sine 120 over x, this over this. Sine theta equals and actually, sorry guys, instead of x, I'll put this, 8.32166. So sine theta equals multiply across by 6 sine 120 over 8.32166, and then theta is going to be the inverse sine of this. So I need to get inverse sine. Hang on, let's try it again. Inverse sine, I'll do a fraction, I'll do 6 times sine of 120 over 8.32166, close bracket, and I get 38.639. 38.639. Okay, now to find the bearing. The bearing is this orange angle. Let's call it, pick a letter guys, whatever letter you want. I'm going to call it alpha. Right, let's call the bearing is alpha. To find alpha, we have to do the full circle. This was always my plan guys, 360 degrees, minus 80, and minus this pink angle, this 38.639. This gives me 360 minus 80 minus 38.639, and I get 241.36. 241.36 to one decimal place, 241.4, and that is the correct answer. Okay, so obviously guys, not an easy question. The hard bit, I think, is just drawing the diagram and trying to figure out what it's asking. Once you've the diagram drawn and you realize that this is the angle you want, because this is the angle of z from x, means we start at x and we go around and stop when we get the direction of z. So that's why it is this orange angle there. Okay, that's it guys, 241.4. Let's write it here, 241.4. That's the paper, and I'll see you in the next paper.